أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ولعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين إلى قيام يوم الدين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Inshallah, today, as it is the month of Sha'ban, month of Rajab, the month of blessing, in which our Mawla Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam was born. So, although it is the night of Shahada in some countries, night of martyrdom, but because it is the month of the Wiladat, on 13th of Rajab, as we know, Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam was born. So I decided to talk about a topic which is not often opted for discussion. So today, inshallah, we will discuss emotional intelligence of Imam Ali alayhi salam. This emotional intelligence one reaches when one has malaka, one has command on the principles of logic. When one knows how to debate, how to argue, how to bring arguments through the principles of logic, when one becomes logical, he's an emotionally intelligent person. So it's something that is probably not directly related to logic, but indirectly it is indeed related to logic. So that's why today, inshallah, we are going to discuss the topic of emotional intelligence of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And I'm sure most of you have heard of the term emotional intelligence. If not, for them, let's make it clear what is emotional intelligence. Previously, you used to hear that IQ has a lot of importance. The people who have higher IQ had a higher chance likely to be a successful person in this world. The more IQ one would have, the more likely he or she would be a successful person, would likely to achieve success in this world. But in last few years, in last few decades, it has been it has been um, brought by the sociologists and the psychologists that IQ may not be something that is required so much by the people. What is required in order to have a successful life, in order to achieve success in this world, is emotional intelligence. If someone has emotional intelligence, that person is then a successful person. So, what is required is emotional intelligence. Someone who has higher emotional intelligence, he or she can achieve success. So, what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand, control, and manage one's emotion and those of the people around him. So, first of all, the first important thing is you have the ability to understand the emotion. What is the emotion you are going through? What kind of emotion this is? What is the name of this emotion? What category of emotion this is from? So, first you have to diagnose the category of emotion. Then, how you can control it and how you can manage it. The process of controlling and managing is also very important. And not only your emotion, those emotions of those who are with you, who live with you, who talk to you, who are your colleagues, who are your family members. their emotions also matter, because if you know their emotions, if you are able to control or manage their emotions, understand their emotions, then you are an emotionally intelligent person and you have a chance or more chance to be a successful person in this world. But when we talk about emotional intelligence, we talk about the emotional intelligence that will not only make you successful in this world, that will make you successful in the eternal world, in hereafter, the life which is forever, the life which matters. This life does not matter. It is for 60, 70, 80 years. And there will come a time when this life will be over for each and every person. Every person, every man, every woman is mortal, has to die in this world. That is the life which matters. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, our interpretation of emotional intelligence is the success which you will have in this world, but which will lead you to the eternal world. Success in the eternal world, success in the hereafter, success in that world. So there are certain elements that if that is found in a person, that person is emotionally intelligent person. What are those elements? Inshallah, one by one, we will discuss them and we will see that how our Mawla, our master, was an emotionally intelligent person. First element is self-awareness. Being self-aware of one's emotions. You should know how your emotions can affect your life and people around you. You should be self-aware of what emotions you're going through, whether it is happiness, whether it is sadness, or it is grief, or it is anxiety, or it is trauma, or it is anger. Whatever emotion it is, self-aware of your emotion. You have to be aware of your emotion. If you're not aware of your emotions, that then you don't know what emotions you're going through, and these emotions can affect you, and you don't do anything in order to eradicate the consequences of the emotions. Then you are played like a toy, and your master is your emotion. A person who is emotionally intelligent, he controls, manages his emotions, and does not let the emotion drive him. He is the one, his brain is the one, his mind is the one who drives who drives his emotions. So first of all, you have to be aware of what emotions you're going through. If you're not aware of what emotions you're going through and what these emotions can affect you, especially the emotion of anger, how it can affect you, how are you able to then eradicate it, how you are able to know the causes of it and its effect on your life. The first thing is self-awareness. And when we look at the life of Imam Ali alayhi salam, Imam Ali alayhi salam, no matter how angry or how disappointed he was in his life, he was always self-aware of his emotions. He never reacted out of his emotions. We look at Nahj al-Balagha, Sermon 217, he is specifically telling us that how much angry he is, and he is aware of his emotions. He is not reacting on his emotions. He is not reacting out of his emotions. And he says, I looked around after the demise of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You all know Imam Ali was all alone. Only few members of his family and few companions were with Imam, our master, our Mawla was all alone, and there was no one to help him. There was no one to support him. There was no one to give him his ride. And the Mawla, our Mawla, should have been the one people say salam to, but the case was the opposite. Ali used to be the one saying salam to others, and people would not reply back to salam. That's how alone our Mola was. Our Mola, who is the master of this world and that world, who has the vilayat takwini and vilayat tashri'i, who has the knowledge of this world and that world, is knowledge of all of the worlds. That someone who claims saluni saluni qabla an tafqiduni, saluni saluni qabla an tafqiduni, amma law thunya li al-wisadu, amma wallahi لو ثني لي الوساد لحكمت بين أهل التوراة بتوراتهم سلوني قبل أن تفقدوني فوالذي فلق الحب وبرع النسم لو سألتموني عن آية لأخبرتكم بوقت نزولها وفي من نزلت. Ask me before you lose me. Ask me before you lose me. By God, by Allah, if I'm asked to judge, I can judge the people of Torah by the book of Torah. Ask me before you lose me. I take oath on who can dissect the seed and grow it into a plant, and who started the humanity in this world. If I'm asked about each and every verse, I can tell you where it was revealed and on whom it was revealed. This was the knowledge of our Imam. And this Imam was all alone. All for 25 years, he had to be alone, and he was digging the well, the water well. 1,000 water well he dug. People asked stupid questions from Imam. How many hair are there in my beard? How many hairs are there in my head? These kind of questions people ask. So Imam was alone. So Imam says in Nahj al-Balagha sermon 217, I looked around but found no one to shield me, protect me, or help me. No one was there who could shield me, who could be in front of me and shield me. No one was there to protect me. No one was there to help me. I'm all alone, except the members of my family. I have just members of my family. Amirul Mu'mineen is all alone. After Prophet, there is no one to help him. Then Imam tells about his emotions. See, I refrained from flinging them into death. This is what he was feeling like, but he refrained himself from doing it. He realizes his emotion. He is aware of his emotions. He says, I refrained from what? From flinging them into death, and therefore closed my eyes despite the dust. If you have dust in your eyes, how tough is it for you to close your eyes? You immediately need to keep your eyes open and remove the dust. But Imam tells us that I closed my eyes despite there was dust in my eyes, and kept swallowing saliva despite the suffocation of grief. Allahu Akbar. He was grief stricken. He was extremely angry, but he kept swallowing the saliva. He refrained from reacting. And then Imam says that I endured pangs of anger, and it was more bitter than colocynth. Colocynth, the fruit which is very bitter. Imam tells that it was something, my feeling was something that was more bitter than colocynth. That's how angry I was, and more grievous than the bites of knives. If there are attacks of knives on you, and there are wounds of knives on you, the grief you have, the pain you have, my pain was more bitter, more severe than the bites of knives. This was the situation of Imam. Imam knew about his situation, but he did not react. he did not do anything. He was aware of what situation he was going through. This was the first element, and we talked about how Imam was accurately self aware of his emotions. Second is self regulation. And second element in an emotionally intelligent person, it has to be there, is self regulation. Self regulation is about staying in control of your emotions and not making emotional decisions. When you are self-aware of your emotions, when you're aware of your emotions, now is the time to control your emotions. And you should not make emotional decisions. Like if you're happy, you should not be emotional and make emotional decisions. If you're angry, you should not get emotional and make emotional decisions. If you have anxiety, you should not be depressed and make emotional decisions. Any kind of emotions you have, you should not let emotions drive you and make important decisions of your life, which you're going to regret later. That's why you have to self-regulate your emotions. You have to control your emotions. And our Mawla Imam Ali alayhi salam, how beautifully he used to control his emotions. When Imam was spat by Umar ibn Abdawat la'natullahi alayh, when he spat on Imam in Ghazwa, as you know, in the Battle of Khandaq, he said, Imam said, when he spat on my face, I was enraged. So I feared that I may kill out of my anger and rage. So I refrained. I came back. I took some steps back. Imam did not react out of his emotions. When you and I, imagine if someone spits on our face, how angry we would be. Imam, imagine, Imam is in the battle. He's fighting. He's already very heated because of him being in fight. In the middle of the fight, this la'een spits on our Mawla, on Imam. And Imam does not react. Imam controls his emotions. Allahu Akbar. In such a situation, no one can control his emotions. They would be like, I have more reasons to kill this person now. But Imam gets back, lets his anger cool down, lets his rage cool down, and says that I'm going to react only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. My desire is only to kill him for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I do not have any interest in him. Just because he's the enemy of Allah, so that's why I'm going to kill him. So Imam self-regulated his anger, and we have many incidents from his life. Why one has to self-regulate? Because one man should think that he is of reason, will, and emotions. He's made up of reason and will. He has a free will, and there are emotions attached to him. These emotions that are part of his life, it can be regulated through will, ambitions, and reason. He should give the authority to reason and will, and not give authority to ambitions. When a person give authority to emotions and does not give authority to will and reason, then he becomes a slave of his emotions. And then he is always the one who is losing, always the one who is getting embarrassed, who is always the one who feels regretful for his actions and deeds. Why? Because he lets his emotions be the one who are masters of his life. Imam Ali alayhi salam said that anger is the key to all evils, and it destroys the heart of wise man. A person, no matter how wise he is, if anger is driving him, then this is the key to all evils, and it destroys him because he keeps making mistakes. he keeps making poor decisions, and then there comes a time when he lands in the land of abyss, and he is destroyed completely in this world and in hereafter also because of his anger. So, what are the causes of anger? What are the things that could be the causes of anger? If you try to remove these causes, analyze these causes, try to remove it, then inshallah we could be someone who are emotionally intelligent, and this one uh, very negative emotion which causes a lot of problem in people's life could be removed. Number one is intolerance. A person who is intolerant, if someone comes late, if the food is not ready, if the dinner is not served, if this happens, and that person is intolerant for each and everything. He expects tolerance from the higher authority for himself, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for himself, from Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam for himself, but he is intolerant towards others. This then causes anger. So a person should be tolerant. A person should know that these mistakes should not be the reason for him being angry, because this is not going to do any good. If there is tolerance, then there is no anger. But if there's intolerance, then the effect is that there is anger in that person. The second is, some people are physically weak, so they may have weak nervous system, so they're not able to judge properly because of their weak nervous system. Something triggers and they get angry, so they need to go to doctors and get checked out. Maybe their vitamin D is low, vitamin C is low, their iron is low, and because of these issues people sometimes get angry, and small trivial thing triggers them, and they become a problem in the family or in their friends. So that's why it's very important that one, if someone has weak nervous system, should get it checked out. The third reason is lack of self-confidence. A person who has very low self-confidence, that person also gets angry because he does not have arguments, true arguments. He does not know how to argue. He does not have true reasons. He does not have logic. So he takes the support of anger, and he gets angry, raises his voice because he does not have dalil for whatever he's saying. So that is also one of the reasons. And the fourth reason is people sometimes are oversensitive. That's how they are. They're oversensitive and they should not be oversensitive. Oversensitive also is one of the causes of anger. And being pessimistic and negative thinking. When someone is pessimistic, he always looks for negative reasons. He's always thinking that this thing is going to end in negative way. This is never going to work out. My business is never going to work out. So if little trivial, tiny disappointing thing happens, there's a loss in business, or there's something wrong in job, there's something wrong in your studies, in your family, in your relationship, anything, because of your pessimistic thinking, because of your negative thinking, you get angry then. Because you have already made up your mind it's not going to work. You keep thinking about it. You fill up your mind with negative and pessimistic thoughts, then you get angry. And then you are always having anger issues, trauma, and all of these things. Why? Because of your pessimistic approach. Because you were ready for something pessimistic, for something negative. So you have to be optimistic. You have to think positive. And sometimes sometimes, especially in Pakistani Indian culture, someone in the family is getting angry all the time. Some uncle, some aunt, some grandpa, some grandmother, some father, some mother, and people are scared of him. So they think that, oh, this is the way to go about in the family. One should get angry, and so the kids or the youth or some other people then start imitating that person. And this is also one of the reasons. So you should realize that he is going to go to his grave and you are going to go to your grave. You're imitating him is not going to do good to you, it's going to definitely do bad to you, because you are hurting the feelings of other mu'mineen and mu'minats. Third emotion is the motivation. Motivation is the third emotion, which is third element, which is, should be there in a high emotional intelligent person. The one who is motivated or high ambitions is constantly moving towards his goals, and he would never let his emotions get in his way. He's always thinking, I have to achieve my goals. I have to achieve my objectives. He's always motivated towards achieving his goals and motivations. So if that is his goal, if he has high ambitions, then trivial emotional blackmailings, trivial emotions, they do not affect him. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, tolerance and sobriety are twins, and high ambition produces them. If you have high ambition in life, you want to achieve something high in life, then what happens? That tolerance is something that you're going to have. Sobriety is again something that you're going to have. But intolerance is there when there is low ambition. Insobriety is there when there is low ambition. When you have very low ambition, like I want to achieve his position, I want to achieve something very low. So at that time, you just think about materialistic things. You think about the objects of the world. You think about the positions of the world. So that is very low ambition. No matter you want to be, what position you want to be, whether you want to be a CEO or you want to be the chairperson, whatever, it's all low ambition, because high ambition is the one which caters this world and that world, which is the hereafter, which is the eternal world. That is the high ambition. So if there's an ambition that caters the eternal world, that makes you successful in the eternal world, is a high ambition. So what should be the ambition of a mu'min and a follower of Ahlul Bayt? His ambition should be to follow Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, to adopt taqwa, to follow the rulings and commands of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam in Quran. This is a high ambition. If someone wants to do that, if someone wants to be neighbors of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam in heaven, then these trivial issues do not bother him anymore. Imam Ali alayhi salam, when we see his motivation, he slept on the bed of Prophet when he migrated to cave Kira Ghar Hira. He put his life in danger for the sake of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for the sake of Islam, because his motivation was high, that he wants to serve Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He wants to serve Islam. That's why even risking his life did not matter to him. It was nothing for him, because he wanted to achieve something high, that is serving the Rahmatul lil Alameen. And fourth element that should be there in a high intelligent person is empathy, showing kindness towards people around you. And this is something which was found in Mawla and all of the Muslims, even the non-Muslims, they believe in it. They have written books on it, how our Mawla, our Imam used to show empathy to others, how he used to show kindness towards others, especially the orphans of the city of Kufa. You know, when our Mawla was sick, the orphans brought milk for Mawla, because our Imam used to give milk to the orphans, give them food, used to feed them, used to take care of them. That's how he used to share kindness, show kindness towards other people, especially the orphans and the needy people. The fifth element is social skills should be there in leading from the front. A person should lead from the front. One should be good at communication skills and lead people by the front, should be an example for the others. And as you know, Imam Ali alayhi salam's communication skills, and we have the example of Nahjul Balagha, we have the evidence of Nahjul Balagha, how he has communicated. Every word has thousands of layers of wisdom, and we have our classes too of Nahj al-Balagha, and we are trying to understand the wisdom of our Imam, and we cannot totally get to the level, but we're just trying. We have just been able to get to the third and fourth wisdom in few months, but it's still not enough. There should be more work done. So the communication skills of our Imam, the fasahat, the eloquence, the balaghat of our Imam is a matter which does not need any discussion. We all know how well communicated he was, and he used to lead by the front. When he gave one sermon in Yemen, after his sermon was finished, half of the people in Yemen accepted Islam, and they asked him to give another sermon. So he gave another sermon, and then the rest of the people accepted Islam too. These were the communication skills of Islam, of our Imam. And he led the people by the front. He used to be the one who would go first in all of the battles. He used to be the one who would lead the people by the front, whether has to do with battle, whether it has to do with fight, whether has to do with distributing mal, wealth among the poor and needy, or whether it has to do with doing any good deeds. Imam Ali alayhi salam always led the people by the front. So all of these five elements we see, that has been established by the sociologists, that has been established by the psychologists and sociologists of the modern day society. We see that Imam Ali alayhi salam had these qualities, had these elements at its highest level, and that's why he was our Imam. This is not the reason that he was our Imam. The reason that he was our Imam is because Allah has appointed him to be our Imam. But when we see that people say that these are the reasons, these are the elements of a leader, a person who has high emotional intelligence, we see that Imam Ali alayhi salam had it at its highest level. And that's why we say that Imam Ali alayhi salam and all of our Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam had the highest emotional intelligence. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.